guys, this lesson is going to be on solving equations when they have one polynomial equal to another polynomial. And these are going to be kind of ugly looking equations, but we're going to solve them by graphing, so it's not going to be too crazy complicated. So here's what an example looks like. So on this first one we have the polynomial we're calling f of x and have it here, and then the polynomial we're calling g of x. And the question says find 1/6 f of x equals g of x. In other words, they're wanting us to solve this, and they've given us this fraction in front of the f of x. And that's typically something they'll do here. And notice how this fraction is 1/6 and everything in f of x is divisible by 6. That is because it can be done algebraically. It's just a little uglier that way. I'm not going to take that approach. I'm going to take the graphical approach, but we do have to start by writing a few things down. So the first thing I want to do is plug in that equation that represents f here and the equation for g here. So I'm going to say the f of x equation with that 1/6 out front will equal the g of x equation. And I would have all that on one line. And then I want to get it equal to 0. Instead of getting like thinking I've got to add this and add this and add this, I'm just going to put parentheses around it, okay, and subtract the whole thing to the other side. So in other words, I'm going to have 1/6 f of x minus the whole thing g of x. And this is going to be the same approach I take in every problem. So that will then equal 0. So I'm doing this minus this, and it will equal 0. I'm then going to look at this part, and I'm going to type that part into Desmos. And you can type that whole line in there at one time. And when you graph it, then you're looking for the zeros, just like we've been looking on many of our problems lately. So I would get three answers: -1, 3, and 4. Would be three places where this statement is true. All right, another example, and apparently I've put that in and forgot to animate it, so I apologize. So I have the polynomial f, the polynomial g, and then I want to find what 1/3 f, where that equals g. So I'm going to do again the 1/3 times the f polynomial and plug in equals the g polynomial. But I'm going to subtract the whole g polynomial to that left side and set it equal to 0. So I have the 1/3 f polynomial minus the whole g polynomial in parentheses equals 0. And then I have this bracket here. I'm typing this into Desmos exactly like you see it. Okay, exactly like you see it. And when I graph that, I cross at -6, -2, and 4, cross the x-axis. So those are my three answers. All right, let's do another one. I have a polynomial here named f and a polynomial here named g. This time we want to do 1/4 f equals g. So the first thing I'm going to do is plug in our big polynomial for the f part and our polynomial for the g part. So I have 1/4 times the whole thing that's called f equals the thing that we called g, the polynomial we called g. And then I'm going to subtract this whole g polynomial to the left side. I have the 1/4 f, subtract the g, and that will equal 0. And again, I'm going to look at that big chunk here, type that part into Desmos exactly the way you see it with parentheses and fractions and all. And then I'm going to graph it and find where we cross the x-axis. Now, I know that I'm going through these steps and telling you what to plug in and showing you the graph, but you may want to stop and take one of these examples that we've done and actually type it into Desmos yourself and make sure you get the same picture. But again, I'm not changing anything about what I'm putting in. I'm just typing this whole side in with the parentheses, with fractions, with the powers, everything looking exactly like it does here. And it's pretty long, but you can put it all in one line in Desmos. All right, so then example 4, I have a polynomial here, and a polynomial here. So this one's f, this one's g, and my problem is finding 1/10 of the f equation where that equals the g equation. So again, I'm going to start with the 1/10 f, plugging that f equation in with that 1/10 out front, setting that equal to the g equation, and then I'm going to subtract the entire g equation and set it equal to 0. I'm going to plug that part into Desmos, and then when I graph, I get x-intercepts at -3, +2, and +3, and that is the solution to this equation. And that concludes this lesson. There's just 4 examples. They're pretty much the same set of steps every time. Just make sure you're paying attention to typing in things correctly and what fraction they give you out front if they give you a fraction. It can also be done without a fraction, and you would just do the same thing. It just wouldn't have the 1/10 in front of it. But most of the time at this level, they're going to add in some little fraction or something that is a little bit more complicated.